Yeah, the man that got me started on the guitar was named Boise Gatlin, and he played an old Epiphone guitar. And I asked him, could he teach me how to play? And he said, okay. He said, I teach you what I know. Yeah, I show you what I know, you know. And that's how I started. I started going over to his house every day, learning how to play. He would be teaching me. And he was blind also, but I could, you know, his fingers they showed me everything I need to know about playing guitar. He never charged me anything. So I have heard people come up offering me, man, how much you charge me to pitch you? I said, well, the guy that taught me didn't charge me nothing, so I'm not going to charge, you know. I never asked Jimmy or anyone else, and I've shown a lot of people different things. I have never asked him because I think about when boys had never asked me for anything. But 4 years later, I was joining Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. The Hank Ballard sound was a mixture of country and blues. I know that people used to thought I was kind of way out there. They did, you know, the way I saw things. Well, sure. Well, we were playing. We had a gig at the Eagle Auditorium, which is in downtown Seattle, and we did one show, and we was taking the intermission because they were letting people go out for that show, and then we getting ready to have the new audience for the next show. And the trumpet player that played with us at the time, because I would Hank Ballard and the Midnights at the time, he came to me and he said, Billy, he said, there's a guy out here want to meet you. I said, man, I ain't got time to meet no guy. I said, look at all these women in there. I'm trying to find a chick to go to the hotel with me tonight, you know. I don't want to meet no guy, you know. Okay, so he left. He came back minutes later. He said, man, this guy want to meet you. Said, you come in. I said, man, what I tell you? I don't want to meet no, I'm trying to find a lady for the night, you know. Okay, dude, he went back and he came back the third time. He was cursing. I don't want to say the language that he was using, but man, come and get this. I'm sick of this guy. Every time he getting on my nerve, you know. So I said, calm down. I said, okay, I'll meet him, you know. So we went up to the front and to the door, and cause we was in backstage, and so I opened the door, and there was this kid standing there, you know, with a big smile on his face, and I said, come in, you know, I introduced myself to him, you know, and he said, you know, his name was he goes by the Jimmy. He said James. His name was James. So I said, oh, come on in, you know. So, and I got such warm vibes from him. I invited him in, you know, and I had my Stratocaster guitar, which was given to me by Leo Fender. Gave it to me in 1959. So I was showing him the guitar, and he was so crazy about it. You know, he told me he played guitar, and I said, oh, no kidding, you know. And he was asking me so many questions. Yeah, he was 16. The reason I remember the exact age because he was 16, I was 20. That same year he turned 17 and I turned 21. But that's how we met, and I spent a lot of time with him because I kept him backstage with me, and that's where he watched the show. And when I got off stage, you know, he's asking me 1,000 questions about the guitar, you know. And he asked me how long was I going to be in the area. I said, oh, well, we'll be in this area at least about another week or so, you know. So he asked me, would I come by and meet his father, you know. Come by. I said, oh, yeah, you know. But he was asking me all kind of questions about how did I do this, you know. So I spent a lot of time with him, you know, and I could see the influence, you know, because when he started, years later when I started seeing him, I said, oh, look, I know where he got that from, you know. So our friendship lasted from 1959 until 1970 when he passed away, unfortunately. He learned the stuff that I was doing, you know, because I was flamboyant, you know, I was jumping off stages and doing back over flips. I was biting strings on the guitar, you know. when people start out and they get a certain, get to be big, sometimes they forget about the they don't forget about the people they knew you on the way up. But he never did. I was living in Harlem at the time. I was living on 111th Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. And he'd be coming up there in the limousine to pick me up, So I go out there, everybody looking at, oh, dude, that's Jimi Hendrix, This particular night, he picked me up and we ride around. Like I said, he had his driver, just tell him just drive any place, because then we'd have no special place to go. Him and I'd be sitting in the back seat of the limousine, sitting in the back, So we'd do that, and this particular night we went, after we got through riding around, before he brought me home, we stopped by, he was living on 10th Street then. We stopped by his house, and when we got ready to leave out, he told me to get the guitar. The Jazzmaster was sitting in the corner. It's very, very unique. It's very unique, and it's in a category all by itself because they only made it for about 4 years, I believe. Jimmy was he wasn't too much on words. He was very not talk that much. But he just told me he wanted me to have it. But I understood it after a while because I understood that he wanted to help me. He was grateful to the times that I spent with him, but he never just come out and said it. But I knew he was. So he gave me the guitar. The next thing I knew, I'm walking down the 8th Avenue subway, going to the subway, going down the stairs, and I see a big wastebasket at the end of the going down that way. Saturday Evening Post was in it, and it says Jimi Hendrix dies at 27. I'm walking down there looking, I went to the garbage and I picked it up. And that's when I first heard that he had passed away. Jimmy experimented with guitars. He tried the Jazzmaster, but nothing fitted him like the Stratocaster. It makes it more collectible because, like I said, he was really known for the Stratocaster. But here's the Jazzmaster, and and just to think that he went from, even though Strat was his main thing, but he had also had possession of a Jazzmaster, which makes it more collectible. Because Strats are dime a dozen, but not Jazzmasters. Yeah, well, anyone who wins or come in possession of the 64 Jazzmaster, it's something to be very proud of. It's a classic, for Jimmy owned the guitar. He gave it to me because that's just type of guy he was. I didn't ask him for it. I never asked him for anything really, but he had his own ways of showing me he appreciated the time that we spent together when he was learning. And the guitar is it's a classic guitar, but it's more classic simply because he owns the guitar. Well, it's historically known and it's been written that he had 5 Jazzmasters. One of the Jazzmasters he had was unaccounted for, and that would account for it right there because he wasn't there. He gave it to me. Yeah, I believe this is a missing piece of the puzzle of the Jazzmaster that was unaccounted for, because here it is. He gave it to me in 1969. So definitely a part of history because it was owned by him, and we know what he did for the music,